Welcome to this edition of Labor Vision. I'm Bob Delaney, Executive Director of the Institute for Labor Studies and Research. Labor Vision, a production of the Institute, focuses on topics of importance to working Rhode Island families. We hope you enjoy this evening's edition.
Thank you for joining us for this edition of Labor Vision. My name is James Parisi. I'm a field representative with the Rhode Island Federation of Teachers and Health Professionals, and I'm your host this evening. Today we're talking about history, more specifically labor history here in Rhode Island. And with us, I've invited a member of the Rhode Island Labor History Society Executive Board, Autumn Guillotte. Autumn, thank you for joining us.
Hi, thank you.
So labor history societies in general are important, but I understand we only have one left in all of New England.
Yeah, they're pretty sparse right now. And really the two strongest communities that I found is right here in Rhode Island with one of the largest labor history repositories, and then all the way out in Chicago, Illinois. So it's really important that we maintain these organizations and their membership.
It sure is. What got you interested in labor history?
I feel like I fell into it a little bit when I was in the 7th grade as a student at Aldrich Junior High in Warwick, which doesn't exist anymore. We had to do a National History Day project. It was built into the curriculum at the time. And the theme was an individual in history, and my grandmother decided that I was going to do it on Mother Jones, who I had no idea who that was, but I did some reading, and if you know anything about Mary Mother Jones, you know she's one of the most interesting and dynamic labor heroes of our time. And I just got swept away with her story and her cause, which was the working people.
So what kind of project did you do when you did the Mother Jones project?
Well, as a 12-year-old, I dressed up in a wool costume and pretended to be an 80-year-old labor organizer as an individual performance. I think I was pretty convincing. And I ended up competing at the Rhode Island competition and then the national competition. Yeah.
Give our viewers a flavor of what National History Day is and what do we do here in Rhode Island to be part of that?
Sure. Well, National History Day is very close to my heart. You know that. It spans from the middle school, junior high, age 6th grade, all the way up until your senior year of high school. In Rhode Island, it is often built into the curriculums for social studies programs and for history class programs in the high schools. But you can also elect to do it on your own if your school doesn't host a History Day competition. And then you go to the statewide competition at RILHS every year, which is held there every year. And so it's kind of the best way to explain it, I think, is it's science fair, but for history. So there's 6 or 7 different categories. You can do an individual performance like I did a long time ago, or you could build a website or make a documentary or create these beautiful exhibits, write a paper. It's really, the medium is flexible, and the whole point is to just get students actively engaged in history and flex that historian muscle a little bit.
So does the Rhode Island Labor History Society have any role in this History Day project?
Well, yes, and that's why I've really become involved with the Rhode Island Labor History Society from when I was 12 years old. We give out a prize every year to labor-related history projects. And when you're a kid and you get like a little check for $100, that like really puts a little fire under your feet. Like, oh, I can get paid for doing my homework if I do it well. And so from there, we really want to encourage students to continue doing labor history projects.
Yeah, it's a terrific opportunity to encourage people to take a close look at labor history then.
It really is. And I've seen in my short time, because I now volunteer as a coach and mentor and a judge for the National History Day program. And I've seen over the past like 5 or 6 years the amount of labor history projects coming out of Rhode Island, and then on a national level where there's a strong labor history community, the number of the projects grow exponentially.
Yeah. My children went to Johnston schools, and there was a social studies teacher at the middle school, Joy Sung, who was very keyed into History Day, and my children did projects for History Day, including one daughter did a project on Cesar Chavez, and my other daughter did a project on the Pawtucket Turnout of 1824, which is, the first women-led strike in the United States of America, right here in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. So I'm well versed in what the History Day is about, but the role the Labor History Society does to encourage students to do a project is really, something novel that many other organizations don't do.
Yeah, and it's more than a prize too, because really it shows students who might have naturally been inclined to these topics to be looking at working class history and about working class strife and success. It shows them that there is a community of other people behind them who are also interested in the same things. And it's also just as simple as resourcing. We will help them do the research. We will help them find those like little gems of diary entries or letters or tour the mills. And that's why too we're also very involved, the Labor History Society, with Slater Mills and the Museum of Working Culture, because no matter, at the end of the day, it's about preserving our labor heritage.
So other than the couple of projects we've just mentioned, in your time as a judge, what other labor-oriented projects have you seen students do and really excel with?
One of the most popular topics every year is the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire, which happened in New York in 1918. And the strike, which really made that an international incident, the uprising of 20,000 led by Clara Lemlich. That is big, I think mostly because of two different tie-ins. One is that, unfortunately, the victims of that fire 100 years ago were young ladies. They were, the youngest one, I believe, was 8 or 10 years old, the oldest being like 19 or 20. So this is right in their age cohort as students. And then the second being that these are immigrant young girls. And I think more and more we are seeing the face of historians and the face of those who are getting involved in history is changing. And it's really becoming more inclusive towards immigrant history and towards women's and other, I don't want to say marginalized, but other interest populations and their history and stories.
Sure. So we want to give our viewers a sense on what the Rhode Island Labor History Society is about. So what kind of programs and events does the society offer to people here in Rhode Island?
We offer a wide variety of programming and events. My personal favorite, of course, is our annual banquet every year, which is like our big throwdown party, where we invite people of the labor community, not necessarily historians, but union members and workers' rights advocates to come, share a table, and let's all get together and celebrate our labor heritage. We also invite authors and other artists and poets and musicians who all deal with labor and working history or stories to share their work on several different platforms, the biggest being like our book events. So we'll have a lot of book readings. Recently, we had 2 authors have separate book events. One was Kissing the Shuttle, which you were there, of course, too, as well. And that was all about the girls in our mills in Rhode Island, and it was also largely about public health.
We showed that program on Labor Vision, and it was really a different kind of program that the Labor History Society offered, because we had someone doing poetry readings, but also telling stories about not only the mill workers themselves, but contracting tuberculosis and then spending time up at San Bruno Hospital, which was at that point in time a tuberculosis ward.
What I love about that too is it just shows how dynamic labor history is. It's not specifically about this event happened from this date till this date and these things were won and these things weren't. It's about the experience of working people, and that's also their health and how they healed or how they didn't heal, and the conditions of their work and their everyday lives, and that's also poetry and art and music. Another great book event that we did was with Eric Loomis's new book, The History of America and 10 Strikes.
And Eric is a history professor, a professor here in Rhode Island at URI.
He is, yes, he teaches at URI. He's an amazing, amazing professor, widely reviewed throughout the university. And the book itself is very expansive. I think it was really hard to pare down just 10 strikes, but it really takes you through how labor and the labor movement has shaped the American experience in ways we may never really expect or immediately think of.
I know in the recent past there were also some other more cultural events. We had an open house for artifacts that were being exhibited at the State Archives that were labor-oriented, that Nellie Gorbet, our Secretary of State, had put together. Had all sorts of different artifacts, the original bill when the Department of Labor was being created, the death certificate of a couple of the people who got killed in the 1934 riot up at Salesville, Rhode Island. It was very interesting to have, artifacts related to labor history on exhibit, and the Labor History Society promoted it by having an open house over there.
Yeah, I'm really sorry I missed that one. And so, there's always something going on with the Labor History Society, and we're really open and available. All you have to do is find us on Facebook or Twitter. We're launching a new website soon. We're going to be throwing a big party for that.
And what's the web address for the new website that we're currently putting together?
I believe the new one is going to be RILHS.org. But if you Google Rhode Island Labor History Society, once we launch it, it will be the top result.
And how much are dues? How much do people pay when they want to be members of the Rhode Island Labor History Society?
I actually don't know because I was awarded a lifetime membership when I was 16, so I haven't paid. I believe we do offer a reduced rate for students and the unemployed.
We do. It's only $10 a year, and then $15 or $25 for 2 years.
So that's a bargain.
It really is a bargain because we're pretty active for a small organization.
And the pro tip too with the book events and all of the events that we do, there's always food, there's always community, and you can usually get the books themselves or whatever else is being sold at a reduced rate. So because we're really just interested in promoting labor history. And
the Labor History Society also does a newsletter that they mail out to their membership as well.
Yes, and it's always got something interesting. It's really follows what our membership does and the various parts of labor history that they are researching and seeking to promote.
So if people are watching now and they have an interest in labor history, why should they join the Rhode Island Labor History Society? Why should they pay their dues to this organization?
To me, it's about being a good Rhode Islander. I think that our state is very uniquely labor-oriented. We've always had a very strong independent spirit, and that has fed our ability to be a great place to work, a great place to raise a family, and have solid foundations where we can speak up when our work conditions are poor or when we're not being treated correctly by our richer neighbors. So to me, it's about preserving heritage, but it's also a really great community. It's a lot of fun, and there's a lot of great exhibits and events and information you can get with a simple $15.
Autumn, thank you so much for coming on the show and talking about the Labor History Society.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for joining us for this edition of Labor Vision.
Hi, I'm Tom Carr, and this is Labor Vision. We're back tonight with our annual segment on the volunteer income tax Assistance Program run by the United Way of Rhode Island. This is the program that allows anyone making less than $55,000 a year have their taxes done for free. The United Way of Rhode Island operates 23 full-time VITA sites throughout the state. If you have children, the focus is on the Earned Income Tax Credit and the Child Tax Credit, which can put considerable refunds back into the bank accounts of hardworking people. Last year, UWRI completed 13,000 tax returns that yielded more than $23 million back into the pockets of Rhode Island's working families. With us tonight, we have Zoya Zeitlin from the Center for Children's and Family and Patrick Westfall from Open Doors. All right, Patrick, you're new with us this year, so we're going to throw it right to you. As coordinators of Open Doors, I understand you oversee 9 VITA sites in the city. If somebody who has never seen our show before, doesn't know about the program, is just hearing about it for the first time, where can they find the information about where these sites are, when they're open, things like that?
So the best way to get information about our sites is to call the United Way's 211 hotline. That'll give them information about which site's closest for them, which site works best for them, the hours, what they need to bring with them.
Okay, so, and okay, what to bring with them? Like, what do you mean, like tax forms?
Bring all their W-2 forms, any health insurance forms, especially if they get 1095 from Health Source RI, ID, Social Security cards.
Okay. Anything you would bring when you would normally go get your taxes done?
Absolutely.
Okay, all right, perfect. Zoya, you've got opportunities coming up at the Rhode Island College campus and CCRI, I think you said?
Yep.
And when are those?
Yep. Tom, for the month of February, every Wednesday, we're going to be on Lincoln and Warwick campuses of CCRI.
Okay.
And we're also going to be towards the end of February at Rhode Island College campus for 2 days.
Okay, and after that, is that sort of done with?
At those campuses, yes, but again, you can call 211 at United Way and get information on any other additional site that location-wise works best for you.
Okay, so it's sort of a rolling thing?
We're doing mobile sites to make sure that we can accommodate the students, that we can accommodate union members, faculty, staff, in additional locations throughout the state where currently maybe there isn't as large of a VITA presence.
Okay. Do you use that big 211 van to do these things?
Not this year.
Oh, okay.
Not this year, although it was very exciting to do that in previous years. The college campuses are providing us with space and computers and everything that's needed to make sure that we're able to accommodate the taxpayers and prepare complete and accurate tax returns.
Oh, that's great. Okay, good. That's good to know. All right, so all right, I'll throw this out to both you guys. How does a first-time VITA client know that the person preparing the taxes is qualified to do the job?
So all of our tax preparers are required to go through at the minimum a basic certification process, which takes about 20 hours. That can be done either self-directed online or through some courses that are offered with different partners. We also have, we're monitored by the IRS. We work with the IRS. Sometimes the IRS will come out, they'll do a spot check, almost like a secret shopper. They'll pull a couple of returns and they'll just verify that they're accurate.
Okay. So, anything to add to that?
Yeah, all of our certified tax preparers are wearing tags that specify at what level they're certified. So all the taxpayers at all the tax sites should feel comfortable that they're getting served by certified, qualified folks.
Yep. I know you guys had some students doing it last year too, but they were also certified?
Yep. Okay. Many of our sites do have volunteer students or intern students that come to help out, and they are certainly also are certified. Yes.
Okay, that's good to know. And approximately how many people do you actually have doing the returns? How many volunteers do you have?
On an average, I would say most sites probably have somewhere between 6 to 16, depending on the site. And all of us are doing outreach at the various college campuses. I know with United Way, I did outreach at CCRI campuses, Rhode Island College, Roger Williams University participates as well, URI. So we certainly encourage those students that are in the finance majors in School of Management to participate. It's an excellent opportunity for them to learn hands-on what they will be doing in the future, and of course to help the community.
So it's a very large undertaking, just recruiting the workforce to do this.
Yes.
Wow,
Yes.
that's fantastic. All right, so now we get into, can you explain the benefits of the earned income tax credit for our viewers? These are the kind of things, I'm an English person. I am not a math person. So I need these things explained to me. I'm sure many people do as well.
Yeah, definitely. So it's an additional credit that working folks, either those that own their own business or work for a W-2, can earn, whether they're single or if they're married and have children. All depends on their earnings and the size of their family. That earned income tax credit is just an additional refund that they get to take home, and it increases their overall refund for the year.
All right.
And the more you make, up to a certain point, the more you can get.
All right. So depending on what bracket you're in, it
depending
increases.
Depending how much you earn. Yes,
Okay.
what bracket you're in, absolutely, and the size of the family. So, are you a single parent with one child, 2 kids, 3 kids? Are you a married family? Again, same thing. 1,
Okay.
2, or 3 kids. It caps after 3 kids.
3 kids, yes.
Right. So when I lost my youngest one, he got out of college.
That would be a
it
sad refund year for you. Yes.
It was. It truly was a sad refund year for me. Okay, I get that. All right. Okay. So another question. This past year, we had major changes to the tax code with this Trump tax plan, or give away to the rich is more like it. Is that going to affect the average filer who comes to VITA?
It has. I think all of us have seen that. So the Tax Cuts and the Jobs Act of 2018 did bring some changes. There are no more exemptions. There are higher deductions, higher child tax credit. So that's the positive. The non-child dependent, $500. That's a positive as well. However, and maybe many of the taxpayers have already noticed, earlier in 2018, the withholding for the federal payroll tax has changed, and we have all been getting a little bit more in our paychecks throughout 2018 and going into 2019. So what that might do is unfortunately reduce the amount of refund that many of our taxpayers will see at tax time.
And I think it's important to note that a lower refund doesn't necessarily mean you paid more taxes. You just got maybe $10, $15, $20 in your paycheck every week.
Right.
It's not as noticeable as losing. You add it all up, it's $500, $1,000 at the end of the year.
Right.
That's a little bit more noticeable than $10, $20 a week in your paycheck.
Right. I did see something online. Somebody said that they compared. They said, I got X amount of dollars back, but I made X amount of dollars more per week. And then they subtracted, and they were like, well, overall, I ended up losing $1,800 over the course of the year. So it is a net loss. So, and that this was a person who wasn't making that much money. So it's like they were squarely middle class.
Yeah, for really simple cases, they may see kind of a break-even point between the extra money in their paycheck and what they're losing as a tax cut and their refund. But for slightly more complex, they probably will see either a cut in their refund that they're used to seeing at the end of the year, or even some higher tax balances that they may be having towards the end.
Yeah, and I remember when it happened, I actually went to my office manager and said, start taking $20 more a week out of my check because I don't feel comfortable with this. I think that I'm going to get hurt at the end of the year with my refund. And we did. And I haven't done my taxes yet, but I'm still a little worried. I still think I'm going to get hurt.
And that's a great idea. Go see, talk to your tax preparer. You take advantage of the free financial coaching that United Way also provides. You can get that information through the United Way 211 to figure out if what it is that you can do throughout the year so that you don't end up in this situation going forward, like the additional withholding that you had mentioned.
Or you could Oh, go ahead.
So I think that's one of the nice things about the VITA sites is we're not just preparing taxes, having you sign, and sending you out. If there's a noticeable difference, if you didn't owe money last year but you did this year, we're going to work with you to kind of say these are the 4 things you can do. These are things you can do. You can talk to your office manager. You can have extra taxes withheld. We're also, I mean, the nice thing about seeing a lot of the same people year after year, you were saying that the year you lost your son graduated college, it changes, is we can help prepare you for that. We can say, okay, this is what's going to happen in the next couple of years. You're going to start seeing less of a refund. You're not going to qualify for the EITC. You're starting to earn more money.
Right.
Your children are getting older. They're graduating college. This is what happens. So it gives us the opportunity to talk to people over the years, not just 1 year at a time.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so, like I said, when my son graduated college, that was it. I couldn't claim him anymore. Couldn't take that credit for him. That was it. He was done. He was claiming himself at that point, and Dad was done. It did hurt. That was a tough year.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely. It hits home.
Yeah, and it wasn't actually that last year that he was in college. It was actually the year after that.
Yeah.
And my tax preparer.
And he stopped being a full-time student.
Right,
Yeah.
and my tax preparer didn't give me that warning, so I didn't get that. So it's good that you mentioned that you see these people year after year. So that's good to know. All right. So between the two of you, anything that we missed? Anything that you guys think you can add? That anything else we need to tell people that we think we've missed?
Well, we encourage people to use the VITA sites. On an average, United Way did a calculation, and we're saving taxpayers about $333 in tax preparation fees. Okay. So come use the VITA sites. Call United Way 211 to
what
get
is
the
the VITA
information.
site? You guys have, didn't we? I think we promoted that last year, but I don't think is there a VITA website?
So United Way 211, I would say, would be the best source
All right.
to be able to get any additional information that you need. Of course, there is the irs.gov website as well that can help taxpayers find sites in Rhode Island.
Okay.
So I always recommend people, once you choose a site you want to go to, just give them a call ahead of time. A lot of sites, we rely on the generosity of volunteers. So sometimes we have to close our doors before our time is up because we're so crowded.
Overwhelmed.
We want to make sure our volunteers get home at a reasonable hour.
Right.
So it's always good to try to make an appointment. If there's an appointment site, if it's a walk-in site, just call and see what their requirements are.
Okay, yeah, that's good advice. Yeah, because you don't want to overwhelm. Say you have 6 to 16 people at one site. If you get 60 people there, hopefully you get them all done, but maybe you don't. So it is best to call. If you only get 6 one day instead of the 16.
That's what happens.
Those people could actually get overwhelmed. So that's good advice. So let me think. Are there any other questions I can think of? So the 211. You can call 211. Is there a 211.org or something like that, or just go to the
It's through I would say through the United Way website.
Okay,
yes,
so
and I know that there is a lot of information posted about the VITA, the Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Programs.
Okay, so all right, so that we've done a great job here today. You guys have been fantastic, informative as ever, and that's what we want to do on the show is get the news out that this program is taking place, and get the news out to the people that anyone making less than $55,000 a year, you can get your taxes done for free, and that's what we want people to know.
Yes.
So thanks for being on. This has been Labor Vision for this week. Thank you for watching. Have a good night.
Thank you for joining us for this edition of Labor Vision. We appreciate your input and encourage your comments. Labor Vision can be seen on this channel 3 times each week: Tuesday at 7 p.m., Thursday at 8 p.m., and Saturday at 5 p.m.